Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System. And I thought we would fill out the hardware trilogy that I'm calling it with some earrings. So that's what we're going to do. And again, please forgive my camera work. I'm still using my hand camera until I can figure out what to do about getting some better camera action for my tutorials through my laptop. But anyway, we're going to make some earrings. I thought that would be fun. And I've done a couple and they really came out nice. I've seen lots and lots and lots and lots of tutorials on YouTube that you can find. And I have kind of combined a few and just made some stuff up. So I hope you like it. I'm going to go ahead and get my camera situated and we will get started. All you're going to need are your usual tools, your round nose pliers, nice round arms here. Your square pliers, again, those are slightly rounded on the outside, but flat on the inside. And your cutters. You'll also need a ruler to measure out your wires. So those are the things that you need today, and along with some 20 gauge wire, and let's get going. Okay, the first one that we're going to do is going to be super simple. We're just going to make this, we're just going to take our washer and we're going to dangle a couple of beads from it. And what I'm using are 4mm beads. One is square and the other you can make either a bicone or a rondelle. I'm going with bicones. And all we need to do is make a loop. So I'm going to take my wire. Oh, and about 4 inches of wire. Yeah, about 4 inches of wire. And I'm going to bend my wire back about an inch from the top or the tip of my wire. Spin that back, grab my round nose pliers, and I'm going to make a loop. Now my loop has to be big enough to pass over my my washer. So I'm going to go all the way to the back here and bring the short tail of wire. You can see that the long tail is vertical. My short tail is horizontal. I'm going to bring that short tail over the top of my pliers and down to the side. And then I'm going to open up my pliers without moving the wire, clamp back down and bring that wire under my pliers, either in front of or behind my wire, like that. So I have a loop. And now without going any further, I'm going to go ahead and check, make sure it'll fit over my washer. And these washers have a front and a back. So I want to make sure that I have the front side showing. You can either slide it over the short tail or over the long tail. I'm going the short way. Slide that in there. And this is the way it's going to hang. And this has plenty of wiggle room. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I don't think it needs to be quite that big. And the way I can do that is to just pull the tail of my wire until my loop is a little smaller. And that is plenty. That is plenty big enough. Yeah. So now I'm going to grab my square pliers and slide in here just under and behind my washer so that I can grab my loop. And I'm going to wrap the tail of my wire around the long stem just under my pliers. So my washer is laying here on top and I'm wrapping underneath. And then when I get to where I can't do it with my fingers anymore because the wire is too short, I'm going to just use my round nose pliers to get that last little bit around there. Come on, trying to hold this up for the camera is lots of fun. Okay, there we go. Now I still have a little bit sticking up, so I need to use my flat pliers to push that down. To have something to hold on to. Let's hold on to my loop. And push that down with my pliers until there's no end sticking up. There we go. Okay, so now what do I want to put on here? I'm going to put on my round one, my square one first, like I did here. I'm going to put my square one first and my bicone second. And now all I need to do to finish it off is make a little spiral. And I have way too much for that. So I just need a small spiral because I don't want it to overpower my little bicone. So I'm going to cut this down to about 1 inch of wire. Save this for later. And I'm going to make a spiral. And I want my spiral to show. So my earring's going to hang like this. So I want my spiral to be going this way. So my earring, my ear wire is going to be flat this way, and my spiral will also be flat the same direction. So let's go ahead and grab my pliers. Grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers. Try and make sure there's nothing sticking out here from between the jaws of your pliers. I'm going to make a small partial loop almost all the way around. And then I'm going to keep rolling even after I've got my loop, because I'm going to make a spiral. So I'm going to keep rolling and wrapping the wire around itself like that. I'm going to grab my square pliers when I get to the point where I can't keep going without interfering with the wrap. I'm going to grab my square pliers. I'm going to continue my spiral. Just keep wrapping that wire around itself until I don't have any wire left. So there's my little spiral. And I want it to be an upright spiral. Otherwise, I want the bead to rest right here in the center of my spiral loop. So I'm going to bend it back. Like so. So there's my spiral. And there's my little earring. What could be simpler than that? Now all I need to do is make an ear wire. So I'm going to grab a piece of wire, again, 20 gauge. And all I need for that is about 2.5 to 3 inches, depending on how big you want your, there goes my phone, sorry about that. Depending on how big you want your ear wire to be, it doesn't have to be all that big. Come back to me later. Okay, so let's get a little bit of this crimpiness out of here. And I'm just going to make, well, let me go ahead and measure it out. Let's measure out 2.5 inches here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and make a small loop right there at the tip. Grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers. Again, making sure that nothing's sticking out the back here. And just make a small loop. Just rotate my wrist until I have a closed loop. Get a little bit of squiggly stuff out of there. Okay, so now I'm going to make a large loop for my wire. So you can use anything. You can use an ink pen. You can use the part of your pliers if you want to, if you just want to do something really quick, or you can grab a Sharpie. It just depends on how big you want that opening to be. So what I do is go right behind my loop and just wrap the wire around your cylindrical item, whatever that may be. Pull that off. There's my little loop, looks like a little shepherd's hook. And then I just give my long wire a nice little curve. And there's your ear wire. So I'm going to trim it down to the length I want. Let's match it up with this one. You know, one thing that I did forget that is that I'm putting this over my washer. So I need a bigger loop than this. So I'm going to open that up a little bit, scooch it down towards the back of my pliers because I need a bigger loop. Okay, and let's just remake my loop. Now it's all wonky. I need to fix that part. Do I need to start over? Maybe. Let's see if we can fix it. Not too terrible. Not great, but not terrible. We're going to do this again so you can see the proper way to make your ear wire. So I'm going to go back in and recurve. Here we go. Is that the prettiest ear wire in the world? No. Is it a complete disaster? Maybe not. I'm just going to make some corrections there. Get my loop to looking a little bit better. I think we pulled it off. Take my fingers and just curve that long tail that I have here until I have an ear wire. And then I'm going to grab either the square or the round nose pliers, grab the tip of my wire, and just give it a little bit of a crimp. Boop, just like that. So that's what I have. Here's my little ear wire. This loop is a little bigger than you usually see because it has to go over my washer. Slide that on. Front. There we go. Close it up. And there we have it. Sweet Virginia. Here we have our earring. Oops. Oh, really? Work with me here. Trying to do everything in a camera that's up over my head. And that's a challenge for me. Probably not for anybody else, but it is for me. Anyway, they're my earrings. I will show them to you later. Okay, that's earring pair number one. We're going to do a second pair. Let's see. Ooh, I like this one. Let's do this one first. Okay, so I thought I would do a little spiral. I did one with a plain spiral, which I'll show you, but this one I put a little bead in the center. Isn't that neat? There's my little washer. Yay. For those of you who don't want something that's super huge but just want something a little bit kind of cute, do that. All right. So I'm going to get about 5 inches of wire for this to make my little spiral. So 5 inches of wire. And I'm going to measure down about an inch away from the tip. So I'm going to save about an inch of wire. And then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and down here where I have my finger where the inch mark is, I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers and then slide down just a little further, just enough that I can slide this bead on. And I'm going to start making a loop. But before I go too far, I'm going to slide my bead on. So I'm just using a little 4mm bicone. I'm just going to slide that down here where I made that little bend. And then I'm going to wrap the long tail around my bead. I just wrap that tail around my bead like so. Okay, so now I have a little loop around my bead, and I'm just going to keep wrapping. And again, I'm going to wrap the wire around itself. So I'm building on that wire. I don't want it to go over the bead. I want to wrap the wire beside itself. And just keep wrapping until I have the size that I want. I want it to match that one. And that looks about right. Yeah. So now I'm going to slide this on my that. I'm going to slide this on my washer. So I'm going to take the short tail and I'm going to slide it. This is the front of my washer. I'm going to slide that inside the washer and through to the back. Then I'm going to push my little spiral up until this is nice and secure in the back. So I'm just going to push it up there until my little bead is resting in the center. And that's what I have. Now, what I should have done is make this a mirror image, which I didn't, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So there we go. There's my little bead in the center. And I'm going to take this long tail and just wrap it around the short tail wire. Just like that. And that's what I've got. Then I'm going to take my short tail, bend it over to the side a little bit, and make a loop. Doesn't need to be a large loop, but I'm going to make that loop going side to side, just like my washer is flat. My loop is going to be going in the same direction. So I've got my wire about a third of the way down my pliers. I'm right up here, just at the top where I wrapped the long tail around. And I'm going to bring that short tail wire over the top of my pliers and just make a little loop. I'm twisting with my wrist to make a little loop right here on top of my washer. Just like that. Then I'm going to grab my short pliers, my square pliers, and I'm going to wrap that tail, let's lift up this little inch tail around. It's kind of short, so I'm going to use my other pliers. Just wrap that around my bead. I keep calling it a bead around my washer. It's very short. I'm going to take my pliers and bring it the rest of the way around. and push it down. You only need the one wrap because the long tail is going to go around the rest of the way. Okay, push that down. And then bring the long tail around over top of that wrap. That around until I don't want any more wire on there. Okay. Clip off what's left that I don't need, and I'm letting that tail rest on the back here. Just clip that off. And I have my pliers are concave on one side and flat on the other in order to get my cut as close to the rings as I can get. I use the flat side and hold that against my wire so I can get a nice close cut. Snip that off and then use my pliers to push down this little end so that it's not sticking up and ready to scratch my ear. There we go. Nice, neat, and tidy. Let's neaten that up a little bit. And there's my earring. Nice. And see, if I had been paying attention, I'd have done this mirror image. So I went this way on this one. I should have gone that way on that one. But this is a very organic piece, so I'm not going to worry about that. Now let me show you how to make the ear wire. I messed it up the first time. So let's go ahead and do another ear wire. I'm going to give myself 2.5 inches. This one's going to be a little bit different because my ear wire is going to be going through a normal loop instead of that big loop like I did with the other. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of them since they need to match. Measure one against the other so that they're the same length. Cut that off. And then I'm going to make my loops. And these are normal size loops because they're going through a little normal size hole. So I'm going to go ahead and do both at the same time, but be aware that if you're using round nose pliers, they are graduated, the size gets gradually longer as you go back towards the hilt of your pliers back here. So what I'm going to do is start turning on one side, and then I'm going to flip it over to the other side so that they're both the same size. Otherwise, one is going to end up being bigger than the other. So let's check that out. Pretty good. This one's a little tiny bit larger. So let's correct that. Let's get it in there and make it a little smaller. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my little cylindrical item that I'm going to use to make the large loop, put it behind the small loop. So here's the bottom of the small. I'm going to put it behind the loop right there at the bottom. And I'm going to wrap that tail around away from the loop. Take it all the way around and then back up the little loop from behind. There we go. There we go. And there's my little loop. Just smooth that out and curve it with my fingers. Just give it a nice little delicate curve. Do the other one, same way. Just behind my loop, just at the bottom where it's ends. Bring that around my cylindrical item. Hit the head of my little loop with my long tail of my wire. Here we go. And make my little curve with my fingers. You can put them together so that they look as similar as possible. Go. And then take my cutters, cut them off where I want them to end. They don't need to be any longer than that. Grab that little end there so it doesn't go flying across the room. Snip those off. And there are my ear wires. I always like to push them down so that they're nice and flat. Otherwise, they're kind of bent all directions. Then I'm going to take either my round nose or my square nose pliers. I'm going to put a little bend, just a little kink in there, right there at the end. Do the same on the other one. Boop, just like that. And that's how you make your ear wire. Now, in order to attach it, you open it like you would a jump ring. You don't want to pull the rings apart. You want to hold on to the side, I call this the front and the back of the loop, and just bend it to the side. And slide it on. My little washer. Close it back up. You can squeeze it closed and it closes right up. Cute. Let's do the other one. Now, before you wear these, you want to make sure that you take a nail file. It doesn't have to be anything special. A nail file or an emery board. Get that nice closed. And you want to shape this. You want to round out these edges because you don't want to put these sharp-edged wire in your ear unless you've rounded it out and made it nice and smooth. And there are my earrings. Aren't those the cutest little things? Oh, yay. I'm going to do one more pair just because why not? We're going to do the same little spiral, except we're going to leave that one plain. And then I just put some beads at the top and then wrap that up and yeah, it's fun. Okay, so what we need for that is for about 6 inches of wire, and I'm going to have some left. And that's why I ended up with this. I was just kind of guessing about how much I needed. And then I ended up with extra wire and I just made this little thing up the side of my beads. Because why not? All right, so let's grab my beads and my washer. Get about 6 inches of wire. Okay, we're going to do the same thing we did with the one that I put the bead in. We're going to go back down about an inch away. I'm going to make sure I do it right this time because I want a mirror image in this. Yeah, so that's going to go that way. Yeah. Okay, so I want to go an inch away from the tip and grab my round nose pliers. Down there where my little inch mark is, where my thumb is, I'm going to grab the tip of my pliers or slide the wire in at the tip of my pliers. And I'm going to start making a loop. I want this to go that way. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap my wire around my pliers until I have a loop. And now both of my wires are going in opposite directions. And I'm going to keep wrapping the wire around itself to create a spiral, just like I did the first time, except for this time it doesn't have a bead in there. So I'm just going to wrap, double check, make sure I'm going the right way. Yes, I am. And I want a mirror image. So I'm going to hold my wire. I'm going to wrap the long tail around my wire. The short tail is sticking out this way, and the round tail, the long tail is wrapping the wire around itself. So I have a nice little spiral, whatever size you want it to be. If you want to cover the whole washer, that kind of defeats the purpose of people saying that it's a washer, but that's up to you. I just want to create a little interest. Again, I'm wrapping the wire around itself with the long tail. And I think that's big enough. Maybe one more little wrap. You know what? I did it again. I think I went the wrong way again, Virginia. There's no way to flip it. That's all right. I'm not going to worry about that. So there's my little wrap. That's going to go. Oh, no, that's right. That's going to go that way. Yay. Kind of hard to tell. I should have done them both so I could have shown you, but I didn't. So I was just playing around with this yesterday. All right, where's my washer? So I'm going to take my washer. I'm going to feed my short tail through the front of my washer. Let me see if I can get this camera properly. I'm going to feed the short tail of my washer, my wire through my washer and out the back. And I'm going to slide my wire up into the center of my washer. Let's try that again. Through the front, out the back, and slide my up into the center of my washer. So this is what I have. My short tail in the back here, long tail in the front here, and I'm going to bring it up and wrap it around the long tail around the short tail. I'm going to bring that up, wrap that long tail around the short tail, like so. And then I'm going to bring that long tail or short tail make sure it's straight up, make sure everything's situated properly. And then I'm going to introduce my beads. So what have I got here? I got red and hyacinth and garnet. Yay. Then I'm just going to make a simple loop at the top. Then my wire over to the side. Make a small loop. And this tail is really short. Actually, did I wrap this one? No, I didn't. Tail is very short, so I'm going to use my pliers to finish my loop. If you want to add another 1/4 of an inch to make your loop, that might be a good idea. And there we go. I don't need to make a wrapped loop on top because this is going to come up and wrap around. And then I'm going to take my wire, wrap that around the bottom one more time, and then bring my tail of wire up and over and around my bead like so. And I'm going to wrap my tail of wire around my little loop at the bottom, nice and snug, and cut off the excess right here at the back. Just snip that off and push that little tip down right there in the middle of it, so it's not sticking up. And there we have it. Again, I did not do this mirror image, and I should have, but there it is. There are my earrings. My hand turned around here to the camera. There we go. Then I just need to make another ear wire. Yourself about 2.5 inches. And this is just going to be a normal loop because it's going through a normal size loop. I don't have to worry about making a ginormous loop to go over my washer. Okay, I'm going to make my little loop. Then make my big loop, just like we did the other times. And give a nice little curve to my wire. Just a graceful curve. Clip off what I don't want. Let's see what we got here. Match these up. Oops. There we go. And snip off that end. And then make that little bend in my wire, little tiny bend. Open up my ear wire loop, slide it on my earring. And close. And there we have it. And don't forget to round off your edges with your nail file. You always want to do that before you put these in your ears. There they are. They're my washer earrings. Let's grab the others. I have some ears I could put these in. I think I can stick these in his ears. But for now, this will do. they're my washer earrings. Let me show you, let me get a better look here. All right, here are my earrings. There's my one pair. That's the second pair I made. And here's the first pair. These are all very, very easy to make. Oops. I want to make sure this is showing here. Yeah, that's right. And remember, these washers have a definitive front and back. You can ignore that if you want. You don't really have to worry about that. But if you want the front to be the front and the back to be the back, just look at the way they're made. This is, there we go. There we go. Those are our earrings. Right? There we go. I like these. These are really neat. And they're, oh, look, that matches my shirt. These are really easy to make. You've got your washers, you just build on that. And they kind of work in the same way that a jump ring might, a decorative jump ring and a large jump ring or a hoop. And you just build on. I like this. I really enjoy this. Those of you who get kits will get several washers and a selection of beads to work with, and you can just make whichever ones you want. It will make something different. And please show me. Let me get back up here so you can see my face. Please show me what you make. I love seeing it, and I really, really would love to see what you do with these projects that we put together. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know one way or the other in the comments, and let me know what else we can do to keep you busy and creative, because I love doing this. So until next time, enjoy your week, enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy your weekend, wherever you are in your week. Stay warm. It's cold here, and I'm in Georgia. Oh my gosh. So try to stay warm, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.